Hi, my name is Maliha and I got 10 grade 9s in my GCSEs, including in GCSE Maths. And today I'm going to give you my advice on how you can maximise your grade with paper 1 around the corner. First off, I'm going to say that the really annoying exam technique reminders, but it's really important that you're aware of this and you remember this in your exam. First up is read the question properly. Get your pen and underline key information in the question. Underline the units in the questions as well so you're aware of what the units are so that you remember to convert it later on if necessary. It's really important that you read the question, don't just rush straight into it because that's where all the silly mistakes come in. A lot of the mistakes and marks lost in maths comes down to silly mistakes, especially if you're like a grade 8, grade 9 student. A lot of the marks that people tend to lose when they're higher up in the grades as well is down to silly mistakes. For example, doing 2 times 3 equals 5. That's something that I would have done in my exam. That's a silly mistake and a lot of marks are lost due to silly mistakes. So what I would do to combat my silly mistakes is I would redo the smaller calculations within the questions 2 to 3 times. For example, within a 4 marker, if you're having to do like an addition using the column method or a subtraction using the column method, I would redo that column method 2 or 3 times over to see if I get the same answer to make sure I haven't made a silly mistake. But the thing is, only do that with the smaller calculations, like the smaller ones within the longer markers, and don't do that if you feel like it's going to be too time consuming for you. I knew that I would be able to do those additions and subtractions quicker. That's why I was able to do it 2 or 3 times. Check your units at the end as well in your answer. That goes without saying. Make sure you're checking your units because a lot of marks are lost as well through not converting them when you need to. And also check your answer makes sense. Let's say that the question is 3.5 times 0.6 and you ended up with 8 million, then you know you probably went wrong somewhere. If you're stuck, skip the question and come back to it at the end. You need to get into the habit of making sure that if you're spending too long on the question, you recognize that you're spending too long on it and then come back to it, because you don't want to get hung up on a single question and waste so many precious minutes on it when you could be spending those minutes on another question where you can get full marks on that because you understand that one more. So if you don't understand a question or if you're struggling on it, skip it and come back to it at the end. And this goes without saying, at the end, don't leave the questions blank. If at the end you come back to a question and you still don't understand it, just write something down that makes sense. Do a few calculations that you think would probably help you in getting to the answer, because you still get method marks. You still get marks for workings out, so make sure you put something on the paper and take an educated guess if necessary. So that can ensure that you get some marks, because if you put nothing there, you're guaranteed to get no marks for that question. And that 1 or 2 extra marks you could get for workings out could be the difference between 2 grades. Okay, now for my revision advice. On the morning of your exam, try and wake up a little bit earlier. And what I would do if I was doing my GCSE Maths again is I would watch like a YouTube video on like the top 10 hardest GCSE Maths questions. By throwing yourself into the harder questions, you're obviously going to make it easier to do the easier questions as well. So overall your performance should be boosted, and it's just going to warm you up and like warm up your maths faculties in your brain by just doing a few maths calculations in the morning, but nothing too heavy. You don't want to stress yourself out by doing anything too extensive because you want to be calming yourself down before your exam as well. Which brings me on to my final point. Before you go into the exam hall, don't do any super heavy revision. Don't get out your entire maths folder and all of your maths flashcards and sit there doing a billion past papers before you go into the exam hall. Before you go into the exam hall, sit there, calm yourself down, do some deep breathing, get yourself into the right state of mind. That's far more important and far more beneficial than doing cramming revision right before you go into the exam hall. And if you feel like you're really struggling with maths and you want some extra help for paper 1, paper 2 and paper 3, you can actually have a free lesson with an experienced tutor on Lesson Wise where they can go through any weak areas, address any questions you may have, and overall build your exam confidence. I'm one of the tutors on there as well, so you could potentially get matched with me. All you need to do to access that free lesson is just go to the description of this video, click on the link that I left in there. It'll take you to a page where you just have to fill out a really quick form. It takes 30 seconds just so that they can match you with a tutor and get you started. And yeah, that's all the advice I have to offer. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm going to be uploading loads more of these last minute advice videos for the upcoming exams. So if you don't want to miss out on that, then subscribe. And yeah, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments or you can email me. My email is in my channel bio. Good luck with your exams, you got this, and yeah, bye guys.